sack. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again to the 35.
Hungry dogs run faster.
What's good, everyone, and welcome back to Having Juice with OJ. And I'm here yet again with my co-host, Juan. What's good, bro?
What's up, brother? How we doing?
Well, today is October 1st. When this comes out, it will not be. But one thing it is Red October. So to kick off this episode, we're going to have some fun, and I'm going to have you do a blind ranking of top 5 Phillies moments.
Okay.
Here we go. 1. So you got to rank them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And I'm just going to say these 5, and you have to pick a spot where they go. Gotcha? Mm-hmm. Roy Halladay playoff no-hitter.
Ooh, I remember that really vividly. I remember that was the game started like while we were still like in school, and I got home and watched the end of it. Oh, I watched the World Series.
So think, where would you put this one?
I know. That'll go in the middle. I'll put that at 3.
3?
Yeah.
All right. The next one, the swing of Bryce Harper's life.
Oh, the Padres one?
Uh-huh.
Man, that was electric. I think that's 2.
You think that's 2?
I think that's 2. That was one of those. So I have a really funny story about that. I just got my dog, and we were debating if we wanted to name her Willow or Harper. And I looked at my girlfriend and I said, if he hits a home run right here, her name is Harper. And he comes up and he hits that home run, and I grabbed her and I like lifted her up like Simba. I was like, your name is Harper. So that one, I'm gonna put that at 2.
Okay, that one's special for you.
Her name is Willow, by the way. We did not go Harper. That was a bit too basic. There was a ton of Harpers around that time, so we didn't go that way. But
all right. So you got the 2 and the 3 spot filled up. Mm-hmm. This one we're gonna go. J-Roll walks it off to go up 3-1 against the Dodgers, October 19, 2009.
That was fun.
That was a fun time.
That little rivalry with the Dodgers was a good time. I think I'm gonna go with that one at 4 though.
4?
Yeah.
The next one, we got Rhys Hoskins' bat spike.
Oh. Man, that is so iconic. So iconic. Man, against the Braves off Strider, just a moonshot of a ball too. Like everybody knew as soon as he hit it. Man, 5 or 1. Those are my only.
I
2
know it's the only
here.
2.
You know what? I'll put that at 1. I think that was genuinely one of those like very, very special city moments. There's a chance I don't get the World Series on there, so we'll just put that at 1 because I can't put that behind some of the other things. I can't put that behind J-Roll. I honestly can't put it behind Holladay's no-hitter either. As impressive as it was, there's something about that moment that just kind of solidified that like we're here, we can beat the Braves, and
they had just walked Kyle Schwarber too, I believe. Rhys just was not playing that good.
Nope.
So there was a big moment for the city.
Yeah, I'll go 1 there.
The next one, Brad Lidge and Carlos Ruiz after winning World Series 4-3 versus Tampa Bay Rays.
Knew that was going to happen.
You knew that was coming.
Knew that was going to happen. Yeah, I mean, it'll go at 5. Obviously, it's 1. But that's the luck of the draw sometimes.
Yeah, that's how blind ranking works sometimes. Just had to kick that off, the episode like that. It is October now. It is spooky season. I love myself some October. Not only just for playoff baseball, but the vibe and the atmosphere of October is always just so fun.
It is, yeah.
Some other things have been happening around the sports realm that I would just like to start talking about. One is the iconic and legendary Pete Rose. He passed away, and there was a lot of speculation, about if he should be in the Hall of Fame and all that, but God rest his soul first. But let's have that little debate. Do we think now everything subsided at this point? Gambling, people have done it all the time. Shohei Ohtani, low-key, probably did it. Yeah. How do we feel about his Hall of Fame status right now?
I don't usually agree with John Heyman. I think he's just one of these old baseball writers that is just stuck in his ways and won't get with new times. But he had a tweet I thought kind of summed it up pretty well. Pete Rose had a lifetime ban from baseball, and his life's no longer here, right? He passed away. He's no longer with us. It's hard because in that moment you had to set an example and make a precedent of the fact that, hey, you can't be gambling on your own sport. But now you're making so much money off of gambling that it's hard to like separate the two. I know you're not supposed to bet on baseball or your team if you're a player, but if you are out here actively marketing and actively advertising betting, then to me, your all-time hits leader, a guy that was just a staple of baseball forever. I think Pete Rose is a Hall of Famer, and I would, if I had a vote, I would vote for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a no-doubter. Even, lifetime ban means like his life's now done. I think even before that, I mean, there's so many, like, nowadays people get in trouble for this all the time. And there's been no such thing as, like, the outlandish lifetime ban that we've seen with here, except for the NBA.
Yeah, Jonte Porter.
Yeah, Porter was gambling, and that was not bad. That was also because he was gambling, like, his points. And, like, that's a little bit different than what I think Pete Rose was doing back then. It wasn't as, like, meticulous, I guess, the sports gambling aspect of it. Pete Rose is for sure a Hall of Famer, like, all-time hit leader, all that good stuff. He's just an absolute GOAT in the realm of baseball. So I just think God rest his soul, and he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
1,000%.
It's one thing when you bet on yourself to lose, like John Porter
Yeah,
was
exactly.
doing. There was never any evidence of Pete Rose betting on any of his teams to lose. And I found it interesting. I was actually reading about him last night, and he bet more so because he found the game so boring that he would throw money on games to like spruce it up a bit and give it a bit.
That sounds
more.
like us.
Yeah,
That sounds like why we gamble.
And that's one of the main reasons that gambling has become so prevalent in today's society is because you are able to sit down and enjoy a game while having legal money on the line now. Like while adding an extra factor of entertainment and motivation into the game other than like emotional attachment to the
distress.
Team. Yeah, exactly. So, if he was betting against his own teams and he was throwing games, then by all means, keep him out. But
for sure.
I don't think he was doing that. There's no evidence to say he was doing that. Get Pete Rose in the Hall. Rest in peace, man.
Yes, sir. Some other things that are happening. The Oakland A's had their final game at their stadium. How do we feel for the Oakland A's fans?
I feel bad for the fans, man. I couldn't imagine having a team since, 1964, 1968, something like that.
Yeah, long time ago.
That just gets ripped out of your city, you know? All because of
Imagine
greed.
the Phillies got ripped out of Philly.
Right? Like, I couldn't imagine that. And I understand that the A's haven't been good, but they're not a historically bad team. The A's are historically a pretty successful franchise. They've got a movie about them, Moneyball, and that whole thing. And it's just...
Which is a great movie, by the way.
Great movie.
Absolutely love that, John.
But it's horrible for the fans. I feel really bad for them, and I hope that they are able to get another team into Oakland. It's like the Supersonic situation all over again. Those are passionate fans that made a statement against their owner. They weren't showing up because they didn't want to support any of that. And then when the owner blamed them for why we can't have a high payroll, they showed up and sold the stadium out in like a reverse protest.
Yeah.
And so, I keep saying, I feel so bad for those fans, man. Some of the interviews and things are just sad. People have been going since they're kids and bringing their kids, and money's a powerful drug, man.
I know. I saw this one video of this like grounds crew guy, and he was like pouring dirt of the Oakland field into little like water bottles and giving it to the fans out there. And somebody was like, "This grounds crew guy cares more than the owner of the team about these Oakland A fans."
That's true.
But we also know it's a business.
Business is
and
business.
We know that they're not. It's not like their fan base is like a loyal Phillies or Yankees or something like that. You know what I mean? Where it's like the business is coming in all the time.
Yeah.
No matter what, like that you're gonna get those people who are buying season tickets. They're moving to a city that's gonna obviously generate more wealth than they have right now. So I will say, as much as it sucks for the fans, as much as it sucks for you bringing your family there and you grandparents and great-grandparents all being fans of this team, you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah. No, I can agree with that, man. Business is business. And Oakland A's owner decided that he thought there was better opportunity to make money in Vegas, and he's probably right. It's just a sad reality that a lot of fans are now basically misplaced and looking for a new team to root for, or in the same breath, just going to completely disregard baseball and no longer be interested in it at all.
No, 1,000%. On top of the baseball conversation, since it is October, it is playoff season.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to break down some of the series that we're going to see in the wild card. To start off the AL wild card round, you've got the Astros versus Detroit. What are we thinking?
Good.
I'm looking at also like a list of all the people who are saying what they're thinking. Not a single person has Detroit. I'll say that.
No, I don't think you can just yet. I think Detroit is on fire right now, and they snuck in, and, you know, that's always an interesting aspect of it because hot teams come playoff baseball are dangerous. Houston's also hot. Houston's been hot for months. Houston's experienced. They left Verlander off their wild card roster, which I found interesting. But I can't, in good faith, take the Tigers in that series. I don't think they win a game, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think they win a single one either. I think it's 2-0 sweep
2-0
real quick.
Sweep, get them out.
Yeah.
Move on.
The next one be the O's versus the Royals.
I like this.
Now, this is a really good series to watch. I'm excited for it. What are you thinking?
I think this is a matchup we're going to see for years to come. I think both teams are very young. Both teams have good talent. Both teams are primed to make long runs, like with 5-10 year windows. I think Baltimore is the better team right now. Doesn't mean Kansas City can't catch fire. And, you know, that first game will tell you kind of all you need to know, in my opinion. I'm gonna go Baltimore in 3. I think they split the first 2, and that game 3 is the one that takes it. So I'll take Baltimore in that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go against the grain on this one. Obviously, I'm a Yankees fan. I don't even know if I'd want to see the Orioles. I think that's more the reasoning for it.
Yeah.
Even though I would love to go to Baltimore and go to one of the games, the tickets will not be as expensive as they will be in New York. So if it is the Orioles, I'm not too mad. That's why I'm going against the grain here. I'm going to pick the Royals. I'm going to go with my boy Bobby Witt.
I like it.
Absolute dog. Perez, all that good stuff. I think they can pull this one out. I think they can squeak this one out. And there's going to be some changes. So I think a lot of people are going to pick the Orioles on this one. I think a lot of the money is going to be favored toward the Orioles. So I'm going to go against you on that one.
I can see it for sure. We talked about it like mid-season. I said I like Kansas City.
They were your dark horse.
Yeah, I think Kansas City.
I'm surprised you picked the O's on this one.
I've been a big Baltimore guy too. Even going back to last year, I like Baltimore a lot. I like Kansas City a lot. It wouldn't surprise me if Kansas City takes it. But I'm still let's be against it. I'm gonna go Baltimore in 3.
All right. For the NL wildcard round, got the Brewers versus the Mets. This one seems a little bit more split from all the people who voted on this.
Yeah.
Which totally makes sense.
I get that, yeah.
How are you feeling about this? I mean, Mets just came off of – I want to talk about that. Mets came off one of the craziest games I've ever watched.
Yeah, that game was insane. I was opening up at work watching like the last 3 innings of it, and what just a flippy-floppy game, you know, late home runs, clutch hits. We talked about it last week. The Mets are a dangerous team. But I'm taking Milwaukee. I like Milwaukee. They just
taking
played.
The Brew Crew.
I like the Brew Crew. I think Reese is gonna avenge us a little bit. Get some Philly action going on the Mets. So I'm gonna go Milwaukee on that one.
I'm gonna go the Mets on this one.
Okay.
And this was not planned again. I mean, we've said this so many times. We do not talk about which ones we picked before. So I'm gonna go to the Mets, and I'm gonna go because I think that they just had one of the most electric endings. Which just allows me to think that they're going to roll that in to the wild card game. If you don't know what happened, it was the 6th inning, and they were down. They hit a 2-run homer to go up, and then the Braves go up again. They go up one more run. Then the next inning, the Mets hit another 2-run homer and go up to then win the game.
Yep.
And that was to clinch, or not to get a wild card spot. And if you know baseball, that's one of the craziest things. Like, and they were playing a doubleheader. So the next game, the Mets didn't even play anybody.
I know.
They let the Braves pretty much win that game and get what they wanted, which was to get a wild card spot. For this next one, for the NL wild card, we've got the Padres versus the Braves. This one is pretty lopsided from what I'm seeing right here. Who do you pick?
I took Atlanta.
I don't know, man.
I took
I
Atlanta.
don't know.
Maybe,
Why you feel that way? Start there.
Nothing about San Diego's been hot, but nothing about San Diego to me like screams this is a great team. Nothing about Atlanta screams to me this is a great team. Both teams have been here before. The Braves are really hurt, which doesn't help their case or my case in picking them. But I don't know. Something about Atlanta feels like a pesky playoff team that is. They're tired of the early exits and being favorites and getting bounced by the Phillies. So I think that they got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I think that they kind of want to prove that they are an elite team like they have been the last couple of years. And I think that an opening series, like a tough opening series against San Diego, is a good way to kind of get their footing and establish themselves in the playoffs.
Yeah, for me, I think it's a sweep by the Padres.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like how they've been playing recently. Their hitting has been phenomenal in the last month or two. Fernando Tatis, we know he's just. I love him. I love him so much. Manny Machado. I mean, I just think this team is pretty deep when it comes to the hitting. Like that's the biggest part of it, and their hitting has been hot. So I think they're going to continue that role. And the Braves, like you said, pesky team. They're just there, and they're tough to beat. Sweeping's going to be difficult. Obviously, 2 wins is tough against a team like that. I don't know if from what I've watched recently, I do not know if the Braves are as hot as the Padres right now. And I feel like for wild cards, that's like the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like if it's a 5 to 7 game series, you can cool off the bats a bit. But in 2 games, I think those can stay hot.
We'll see, man.
We'll see.
Like I said, I just think Atlanta's in a position to where they've been bounced early, and I think they kind of want to prove something. And I think coming out and smacking San Diego kind of sets a tone of like, we're still the Braves, man. We're still a good baseball team.
Yeah, so we're going to just stick with the wild card there because if we get into all the divisions in the World Series, we will be sitting here for 3 hours discussing this. So that's kind of it for the baseball portion of everything. We're going to switch off for the second half and move on to some football talk. And to start, we're going to talk about some of the early power rankings that the score dropped after just 4 weeks. So very early power rankings, right, Juan? The number 1, which the previous rank was also 1, obviously, are the 4-0 Kansas City Chiefs. How do we feel about this, especially with Isaiah Pacheco and Rashee Rice being out?
4-0 is 4-0. They're not doing it prettily. I don't know if that's a word, but
Prettily.
they're not doing it in a pretty fashion. But they're 4-0. They've still got Patrick Mahomes. They've still got Andy Reid. I don't see how you have any team above them. I don't think there's a team better than the Chiefs myself, but I do think that eventually these, slower scoring, closer games might catch up to them a bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that Patrick Mahomes, if he's on your team, that you shouldn't be the number 1 rank.
Yeah.
Even with their clear wide receiver 1 getting hurt, which screwed me in fantasy leagues.
Yeah.
Absolutely sucks. Rashee Rice, that's just a bad injury. They're saying it could be a torn ACL, which would just be absolutely devastating. And Isaiah Pacheco being out, 6 to 8 weeks? I think 8 weeks is early. Honestly, I still like them there. 4-0 is 4-0, like you said. It's a winning record, way more than a winning record.
Yeah.
And they got to be the number 1 there. Number 2, they've got the 3-1 Lions, who were previously the 3 rank. How do we feel about them at number 2? Your face didn't show that you like that.
I think the Lions are good. There's another undefeated team that we've just ignored, I guess. The Vikings have come out and won in convincing fashion against pretty good teams, in all honesty. The Texans, the Niners, the Packers with Jordan Love. Who else did they beat?
Good question. I would have to go back.
Either way, I just named you
Yeah.
3 teams that are probably playoff teams. You
Uh-huh.
know? And the Vikings are 4-0. And not the number 2 team. I can't say that I agree with that. The Lions are good, but
Jared Goff going 18 for 18
that
last
was
night,
crazy.
eh?
That was impressive.
And Dan Campbell gave away his game ball.
Of course.
Yeah, he said he didn't know that he went 18 for 18, and he gave away his game ball to someone else.
I would put the Vikings at 2.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, they have them at number 3.
Okay.
Yeah, so we would say flip-flop those. I would have to agree, even as a Vikings fan, even if I wasn't a Vikings fan. They've played winning football. And more than winning football, they've been blowing teams out. I mean, yeah, the Packers game, Green Bay started creeping back. Christian Watson got that concussion. I still just think the team itself with Sam Darnold behind it right now just has been looking way more dangerous than we ever thought it could look. Jordan Addison had a great game coming back from injury. Jay Jettas was non-existent in the first half. Overall, team's looking great without even TJ Hawkinson back there. Aaron Jones is just doing a part at this point.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. They're just working it. Last year, there was absolutely no run game. Like, they wouldn't run the ball. They would get like 5 yards.
Yeah.
Like, it was this Alexander Madison and Ty Chandler back there just doing absolutely nothing. With Kirk Cousins, who couldn't run, so that just didn't help. I like how the team looks. I agree that they should be the number 2. I think the 2 undefeated teams should be the number 1, number 2.
I think it's funny that the Vikings just every 5 years put together a really good team that makes these like long runs, and then they're mediocre all throughout the rest of those. It's like literally every 5 years they come around and go like 13-3 and make a deep playoff run, and then they fall off.
Every time.
It's so
Every
funny
time.
to me, and it just feels like we're going right back down that same path with them. Like we saw in 2017, when, with Case Keenum. They were really good that year.
Who took us the farthest we've ever been, by the way.
Right.
Well, recently.
So I think the Vikings are such an interesting team, such an interesting franchise.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Flores has been absolutely amazing on the defensive end. His ability to hide schemes has been unmatched.
It's insane.
I mean, we've talked about it, but even just Brock Purdy saying something like that is huge because the 49ers are great. Which I just feel like they're non-existent at this point whenever I watch SportsCenter or anything.
Yeah.
But the Niners are the Niners, and them saying that the defensive schemes are that good is pretty damn crazy. So I would have to put them at 2, and I would move the Lions down to 3 there. At the 4, they got the Baltimore Ravens at 2-2, who were previously the 9th. How do we feel about them in the top 5 here?
Ugly losses. I mean, Chiefs isn't like the ugliest of losses, but the Raiders is a pretty bad loss.
Yeah.
Don't really know what to think about the Cowboys right now, and you almost let them come back into that game. They just kind of manhandled the Bills, so you got to give credit.
I mean,
where
Derrick
credit is
Henry
due.
just
Yeah.
manhandled
Derrick
the Bills.
Henry manhandled the Bills. So you got to give credit where credit is due there. I think that I think that's fine. I think it's a little high. I think there's some teams up there, like even like a team that just destroyed the Eagles, the Bucks, right? I think we keep talking. I think they are such a criminally underrated team. I think they are so well coached. They've got weapons on both sides of the ball. They fly around on defense. They make good plays on offense. Baker's playing lights out. Do I think that I think the Ravens would beat the Bucks, but if we're talking power rankings and how they've played so far, 2-2 Ravens. I'm not mad at it up there, but I think I'd have them a bit lower.
I mean, the Bucks even the fact that they have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they've got in the backfield Rashad White and Bucky Irving.
Bucky Irving looks good.
Bucky Irving, the rookie, looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think he's going to start taking the touches over Rashad White.
He's out-touched them the last like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's going to be I think they're really going to push him, though. In the next couple of weeks, I think Rashad White sees such a lesser role, which kills me to say for fantasy reasons. But I think he takes such a lesser role. I think Bucky Irving is very, very good back there. And on top of that, they got Sterling Shepard from the practice squad.
I didn't even realize
I was watching the game, and I see this dude's last name.
Around?
He's just flying around catching balls. And I'm like, Shepard? I'm like, who the hell is this? I'm like, is this a rookie or something? I was like, I've never. And then all of a sudden I hear them say, oh, and Sterling Shepard. I was like, they really just took him from the Giants like that. So they got a really good squad in their defense. Their defense is just Bucks defense.
They fly, man.
Yeah.
They legitimately fly around. You talk about like changing up schemes. Todd Bowles does a great job of that too. Even the game this week, he would show pressure up the middle, send pressure off the edge, show pressure off the edge, send pressure up the middle. The stunts that he had were insane. Like that team is just well coached. Todd Bowles teams are almost always well coached. That was a brutal game by the Eagles this weekend, but not to discredit the Bucks. I think the Bucks are, like I said, are a very underrated team.
Yeah, no, I would have to agree with you there. At the 5 spot, this team was previously the 2, the Buffalo Bills at 3-1. How do we feel about them being at the 5? I don't really love it too much.
I don't mind it. I think at the 5 is fits. I think it's fine. I think that they've looked really good besides this week. I was shocked to see how good they looked. Because we talked about how we were nervous of the lack of weapons and losing people on defense. Doesn't really seem like they've missed a beat. Josh Allen looks great.
Yeah, except for the 2 weeks that he decides to put up 5 points and 7 points on fantasy. I'll tell you that. Like, he did not do good. He was like I think he had under 200 passing yards this past game.
Yeah. Well, against the Ravens? So, yeah, that's a game where, it's the NFL. You're going to probably have an off week or two.
Yeah.
And there's also going to be games where you come in and a team knows exactly what you want to do. They know exactly how to scheme against you. And it kind of felt like that was what was going on this week. So I wasn't too mad at a Bills loss to the Ravens. Ravens are a good team. I want to see that matchup again later on in the year.
For sure.
But I don't mind the Bills at 5. I think that kind of fits.
I just want to quickly talk about the 6 and 7, and then we'll move on. We've got the Texans at 6. This is exactly the previous rank that they were at 3-1, and then the 7 is the 49ers at 2-2. Do we like the ending of this from the Ravens at 4 to the Niners at 7, or would you flip-flop any of these?
No, I think that's fine. The Texans have been a little underwhelming to me. They're 3-1. It's not they looked bad, but I expected them to be a bit better. I thought they would take a leap of kind of 2017 Eagles-esque, where they were just blowing teams out and having fun while doing it, and I haven't quite seen that yet. The Niners are the Niners. They're without one of the best players in the league. Jordan Mason looks good, but he's not a Christian McCaffrey. They finally got Debo back, but I wouldn't flip it. I think that's fine. I would probably leave that as is. Maybe I might even put the Niners ahead of the Texans right now.
Yeah.
Just off of maybe that's a resume thing, but if you put the Niners against the Texans right now, I think the Niners defense would do a great job of bottling up the Texans offense, kind of like the Vikings did.
Yeah. Now I can see that. I can see why you would want to flip flop those. I would actually say even though the Ravens just beat them, the Bills could be 4 and the Ravens should be 5. I don't know. It's a tough one, but those are some of the power rankings from the score.
That loss to the Raiders for the Ravens kind of just does put a damper on it, because that's just you can't lose that game.
I know. Yeah, no, 1,000%. Staying on the football train here, but we're going to move a little bit to some college ball.
Great weekend for college
ball.
ball.
Great weekend for college ball. One game specifically, the Georgia-Bama game. Did you watch it, Juan?
I did, man. I did. 28-0 to start, and then I kind of started flipping to other games. Penn State was playing at the time, and I thought that game was over. It looked like Bama was just rolling them, and they were just rolling
steamrolling. It was 21-0 in the first quarter.
They were just blowing them out, and I thought that game was over, and then little by little you kind of start getting text messages of like, oh, and then I sent that one message when it was like 28-0. I was like, this might not be a bad time to bet Dogs money line. And I was half joking. I'm always like half joking, half serious when I say things like that. Because
I threw 5 on it.
Yeah.
I threw 5 on it.
That's right. Because something like that, a sprinkle where the odds are going to be that high, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a good team. Like, we know Georgia's a good team. We know that they don't stink. We know that they have it in them to make a comeback. So I mean, half joking, half seriously, like, hey, throw a 10 on Georgia money line to pick this up
At like plus 1,100 too.
Yeah, exactly.
So worth it.
So as the game kind of got going, Carson Beck didn't look great, but then he kind of started to step it up. Then they take the lead. But man, Ryan Williams is a dog.
Williams, 17 years old, absolute dog. Listen to the 17-year-old stats, ladies and gentlemen. 6 receptions, 177 yards, and a touchdown. 17 years old, out there in the SEC versus some of the best. That's
First-round corners.
That's absolutely insane. Making plays look easy, running so fast by these guys, taking hits. What do we think about the 17-year-old phenomenon?
Dude, that touchdown he scored was genuinely one of the most impressive plays I've ever seen.
Seriously.
Pro, high school, college, does not matter. That was insane. The catch, the adjustment to turn around and make the catch, the spin, the juke, the like little stiff arm, getting into the end zone. 17 years old, man. Like it brings up an interesting point that we talked about, and we'll kind of get into in a second. But like when somebody's that talented and legitimately could probably join an NFL roster today and possibly contribute, give him a year to kind of bulk up a bit, I guess. But in terms of his physical skill, not his makeup yet, but his physical skill, that dude could play in the NFL today at 17 years old. So it's an interesting thing to think about of like, at what point do these players kind of start thinking about, I could do this right now. Why would I even play in college, right?
NIL.
Yeah, right? Like,
That's literally the reason why a lot of athletes are staying way longer now in colleges is because they're making some good money and they're living a college lifestyle. And it's way different than an NFL lifestyle where it's grown. It's a grown man league.
Yeah.
So that's, the reason why they would stay is only NIL.
Only NIL. And that's a good thing, I think. But there's also going to be drawbacks.
There's pros and cons to it, for
There's
sure.
going to be issues with it, and we're seeing it right now. But Ryan Williams, man, I think that kid is truly, truly special. 17, man.
He has like a Devonta Smith archetype.
Yeah, he does.
Plays at the same school.
But I think he's a bit shorter, but man,
How tall is Smitty?
Smitty's, I don't know. Smitty looks taller on the field to me.
Yeah. I feel like they're both like 6 foot 6'1".
Yeah, they probably are.
I think they're about that.
I think Smitty, like watching Ryan Williams, he just looked a bit smaller to me. But again, his physical makeup is irrelevant to me right now. Georgia's got not obviously D1 corners. They got first round corners, and he babied them, made them look like children. So it's if you're Ryan Williams, what do you think you're worth? Right? Because I can sit here and I say, hey, you're a first round talent. That means you're worth X amount per year. If you were to get drafted right now, let's say number 9 overall, here's what your draft slot would be. This is what I would ask for as a college athlete. That you want me to stay? Then cool. I will come in and this is what you pay me.
Yeah, he absolutely dogged in this game. And I just got to read some of the stats also by Jordan Milroe. Because he also dogged out.
He's really
he dogged out. Jordan Milroe took a great Jordan. I said Jordan. This man's name is Jalen. Last year I was at the Bama Texas game, and Texas won in Bama by double digits. They absolutely smacked them. Jalen Milroe looked terrible. Like he didn't know how to read defenses. And he last year, the entire year, I felt like he didn't know. He didn't know when people were jumping the gun. He threw so many interceptions that just were right there. You could tell that they were going to be interceptions before he let go of the ball.
Yeah.
This year, he looks way more secure back there. He is a running quarterback, but he was throwing the ball really, really well.
Yeah.
And some of his stats are right here. We've got Jalen Milroe, 27 for 33. By the way, first of all, missed 6 throws. That's 80% completion rate. 374 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. 16 rushing for 117 yards and 2 tutties. That's a game.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Williams snapped for sure. For a 17-year-old, for sure. But Jalen Milroe going out there and doing that to the Dogs was absolutely insane.
I sent you that text when he threw that wheel route touchdown. I said that ball was beautiful.
Yeah.
That ball was beautiful, man. He was impressive. I don't watch a ton of Bama, but when I do, especially this weekend, I came away thinking that's a pro quarterback. You know, that's a guy that can get it done in the pro level. The rushing stats also insane. I saw a stat before the game. He was like the first quarterback to have multiple passing and throwing touchdowns in the same game for multiple weeks in a row, and then he added it again this week against Georgia, who was the number 1 team in the country. Or 2, I guess, because Texas was 1.
Two, yeah.
Impressive win, man. You know, not necessarily on him that the defense kind of let Georgia get back into the game. You know, you never know what play calls are looking like when you're up that much. Are they running the ball? Are they going to stay aggressive and kind of keep their throat on their neck? So I can't really fault him for letting Georgia get back into the game, but without Milroe, you're not up 28-0 to start that game off, you know?
Yeah,
so
no.
He's impressive, man. He should be up there with like the Shador talks in terms of draft quarterbacks and things like that. I don't see what people see in Carson Beck.
I mean, by the end of the game, his stats were 27 for 50. Man couldn't complete a pass to save his life in the first half. 439 passing yards. 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions.
It's that Dak Prescott line.
Yeah, it literally is. Just pass. Carson Beck, man, I don't know. There's something about his face that I just don't like. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. It's just he pisses me off when I look at him. And I'm pissed that I bet on the Bulldogs and I bet on Carson Beck to win me a game in Bama, thinking, like it's gonna be the same thing as last year. It was not. The Bama boys came to play, and I am happy for him because I do like Bama. Bama's a great place. Love the fans, love the stadium, love the team. Can't believe I did that. I'm just pissed at myself.
Georgia fans were calling for Carson Beck's Lambo to be repoed after that one.
I mean, I would too. I would take his whole car collection, whatever crazy penthouse suite he stays in.
And the pick he threw at the end, wasn't a bad decision. You've got somewhat one-on-one coverage. Yeah. Just underthrew it. Underthrew it, and that was all she wrote because they were driving down. They had a chance to tie it up. I wanted them to tie it up. I thought that game, if they tied that game when it went into overtime, would have just become more of an instant classic than it already was.
1000%. And one thing, just kind of moving off the Bama Georgia game, because college football just in general has been absolutely insane. The last thing I kind of wanted to talk about on this episode, you brought up to me actually. Do you want to break it down for the people?
Yeah, so we talked about NIL stuff and kind of the way that things are moving in the college world and college athletics specifically. So UNLV got a quarterback from Holy Cross named Matt Sluka. Sluka was a 4-year starter over there, very, very good, you know, FCS, right?
Oh, yeah, I believe so.
So very, very good, like basically, you know, D1 AA quarterback. That was looking to go somewhere else and contribute at a Power 5 conference, Power 5 school. And apparently UNLV assistant coaches made him an offer of $100,000 to come over.
Verbally
made that offer. And from what I'm like kind of understanding is that these assistant coaches go off of credit. So they're given, you know, hey, you're going to go on this visit. You have X amount to spend. So these offers are almost always verbal and then eventually get written into contracts. But this one was one that was offered verbally, never got written into a contract. Matthew Sloka played very, very well for UNLV for the first couple of weeks.
They were undefeated.
Yeah, I guess he went to the coaches and said, hey, where's my money at? They said, we don't know what you're talking about. And he said, all right, I'm out. And he left the school, basically said he was going to redshirt this year and try and transfer again. But it's just a really interesting point. It's kind of the first situation that we've seen where a college athlete wasn't given what he was promised, you know, verbally or contractually. You know, I was always taught everything needs to be in writing.
Yeah.
Nothing should be assumed if it's not in writing. And so it's agent malpractice for sure. It's something that, you know, his agent should have made sure he was on top of. But I'm more interested in the long haul and the long-term aspects of it, of what is the consequences and what kind of like domino trail does this set off for the rest of college NIL stuff?
Yeah, this is definitely the first time we've heard of something like this, which I'm sure it's happened so many times since NIL started, with just not just false promises to all these like kids who are just trying to make life decisions to get them to the best possible situations and also to better their life. Making six figures 100% betters somebody's life who's only going to a UNLV and probably isn't looking at a starting job in the NFL.
Yeah, or a backup job.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. That's not what his trajectory is. And taking that away, I mean, verbal agreements should be honored, but I'm saying should because they don't. That's not how life works.
It's not.
You've got to get it written down. Yes, you can have that agreement, but before he even stepped on that field to throw his first pass, that should have been in writing.
Yeah.
And that's not to take away. Like, I feel bad for the kid for sure. But everyone's acting like they left him. That he left UNLV in the dust.
Oh, they blew somebody out this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. I think I just saw the score. But yeah, they got a new quarterback, and I don't think they missed a beat.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, this is probably his only real opportunity to cash in on his physical talent. And so when he's expecting $100,000 and then he doesn't, I think they gave him like $3,000 or something like that.
That's a lot.
So I'll take $3,000. Don't get me wrong, but like,
No, I'm fucking around.
when you offer someone 100 and then you give them 3, and then you expect them to just be like, oh, it's cool, right? Don't worry about it. I'll still go out there and I'll put my life on the line for you guys. Don't worry about it. No, it's not going to work that way. I applaud Matthew Saluka for kind of standing up for himself and not allowing the bullshit to stay and taking a stand against what he feels is right. But in the same breath, man, we got to do our due diligence. We got to make sure we dot our I's, cross our T's, and make sure everything is in writing. Because if not, you get into situations like this.
Yeah, he definitely should have stood on business a little bit earlier.
Just a legitimate business, right?
Exactly. But yeah, that kind of concludes what we wanted to talk about today. Juan, you got anything before we depart?
Fire Nick Sirianni right now. I'm sick of it. Oh my God, man. What are we doing? What are we doing, Nick Sirianni? Like, the complete and utter unpreparedness is ridiculous. I'm just getting sick of your ugly face sitting on the sideline. Like, you look confused and then you come out and you say dumb shit like, well, we only ran 6 plays and Saquon got the ball 2 times and that's how the offense works and half those plays were on 3rd down. That's bullshit, bro. He's gashing them again and you're still not giving him the ball. He broke off a 56-yard run and you gave him the ball out the backfield one more time after that in the second half. So that's it. We didn't go too much into Eagles this week, but I had to get that off my chest. I'm so sick of the Nick Sirianni experiment, man. It's run its course, and it's time to end it, in my opinion.
Early? End it like mid-season?
End it now, man. End it now. Let Fangio take over. Let Kellen Moore take over. Bring a jolt into this team. They need a jolt of some sort. It doesn't feel like him and Jalen.
Bill Belichick?
Nah, I don't mind Bill, but you're not going to hire.
I would not.
You're not going to hire Bill mid-season. Somebody like a Bill Belichick or a Mike Vrabel, I wouldn't mind either of those guys. I don't know how realistic it is.
Yeah,
but you need some sort of jolt into this team right now, and even they asked Jalen, like, do you and Nick talk about things throughout the week, and he goes, we have our moments. That doesn't sound endorsing to
we
me.
have moments.
Yeah, we have our moments. It's not an endorsing statement on your head coach. And I just think he's kind of lost the team. I think they won't obviously say that.
Yeah.
But you've got captains doing dumb shit after the game. Darius Slay's out here posting, his career stats after he got worked all game. I just think this team is in a rough spot right now. Again, it's early, but it's not too early to say that Nick Sirianni's not doing a great job with this team right now.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni, Juan's calling for your head.
Yeah, you're done.
Well, thank you so much for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
In trouble. He's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again.